The danger to ward off the ungrateful citizens are not there yet, but at least now finally the best girl, Uchaku Urarara, is taking the main stage. But what happens now, I haven't actually so much idea. But before that, it's me, the Angry Man fan of the Spare Viewer. I decided to review Boku no Hero Academia Chapter 323 here. And now we're also going to go through what is happening here. As soon as everybody have read this chapter, they've actually said that they believe that now the traitor of all of this is actually the principal, Nesu, because of every single clue that they have found. And if you ask me, well, yeah, that would make sense, because who in their right mind would ever suspect the one who is supposed to be the big good of the school to be the mole? But I'm still saying, even if that is true, why? There is no reason for why, except of course maybe he was brainwashed. And if you tell me, if he is the mole, I sincerely hope it is a situation where he doesn't know he is the mole. Because that would just... I hate those characters that know they're the mole and just pretend to be characters we have never really known. But that's not what this chapter is about. First off, we go back to a place when the students talked to everyone else and saying how they will drag back Deku, but also saying that there was still some danger of doing that because, well, the safety of the evacuees. And so Nesu begins to explain everything that has happened, that he feels like Deku is the most important piece of the value they will have against this war, against the villains. And also saying that now the UA is equipped with the best defense ever, something that it was better of and than Tartarus. But as we all know, Tartarus fell kind of easily against All for One and Shigaraki. So, but Nesu says that he actually found some personal touches to unify it now. So, so to make a long story short, he says that actually the UA can travel, because the ground are portioned like a game board, and each section is equipped with mechanisms that can transform into an underground emergency shelter. And these individual shelters enter a lineage and moral network that can send them along any number of routes at their discretion. And almost like a robot enemy. And even if the security system will crumble, they have fortified the ground with 30,000 layers of bullet mark plates, making it a little bit more difficult for Shigaraki to decay it. Although he can still decay steel, I'm pretty sure it takes a little bit longer time to do it of it all. And also saying that Shiketsu is the first to fortify their security in a similar manner, therefore they can connect to them as well. So if they need to flee, which we all know happened back then. But then Tokuyami actually asked, how would you know that Shigaraki's quirk would evolve? And according to Nesu, it was just simply intuition. And here was a lot of people thought as a black mark. But if you ask me, it is not a black mark. Nesu is supposed to be super intelligent. And if he is going by, and you cannot reason with intuition. It's more than intelligence. It's an intuition. It's nothing that can defy by logic. It can be tell. And he actually covered the expenses of his own pocket because, well, he's world known, so therefore he can do it all. So if it turns out that Nesu is the mole, literally, then, well, that's gonna be an extremely gut punch, especially since he is the one who's doing all of this. And if he was the mole, well, yeah, then, and technically this war is already lost because of everything. But according to him, lack of understanding and intolerance, it seems we're only a step away from that. So, and he feels like they must somehow making a simple step towards an impossible journey. They must tackle the matters at full powers. And back to the present, they still feel like Deku shouldn't enter this palace. And then we actually see Deku's mom there. We also see a shot of Eri and the Class B, who is actually with Momoma. I thought she was actually a bit scared of him. We also see Kota together with Ragdoll. We still don't see the other members of the 4 Pussycat dolls. I hope they are actually alive. And then actually they're saying that and then the best genius appears and tries to tell them that this is currently the safest route. They were the ones who sent Izuki Midoriya as bait to learn the villain's locations. However, their search ended up doing nothing, and now he is spent and extremely tired. They need him to be resting up because it's the greatest triumph card against the villains. But this only makes the villains even more angry. The citizens even more angry because they're once again saying that the heroes failed to protect them. They are so ungrateful that it's making me sick. And so they begins to shout dark thoughts that actually triggers Deku's danger sense because he senses their anxiety. But it's during that moment that Uchako floats up, which their mom and dad actually see. And then she grabs the mic, floats up to a building of the UA, and actually begins to bail out on the entire crowd. And Big screams that Izuki Midoriya, one of the first times she actually calls him Izuki Midoriya, says has a special power. Of course, everyone doesn't say that he doesn't get to rest here. But she says that he left this in the first place because he didn't want to make trouble for anyone. And we're the ones who brought him back. And that the power is special, but it's a power that exists to be all for one. And that one is why everybody's after him. And while this doesn't begin to feel like the most emotional errors above it all, it is worth noting that what she's saying next is actually a little bit more subtle emotional than Bakugo's jerk-ass realization speech. In fact, she is saying that even though, while they don't get convinced that why he has a special power and they're after him, the words she actually say that begins to affect some but not everybody is actually the words "take a good look at him." And some citizens, including his mother, begins to look, although only a few of them. And one who actually complained before takes actually a look at Izuku, and he is shocked. He is not angry or anything. He's not even showing he's not showing no sympathy. No, he is genuinely shocked because he sees the claws mark, he sees the worn out body, he sees everything. So as I said before, this doesn't may not have that impact as the Bakugo speech, but that's because it's subtle. The simple line that Uchako says, "Have you taken a look at him? Take a good look at him." No one actually has. And when they do, they realize what she's saying. He has pushed himself for their sake. He left because he didn't want to endanger them. And this is how he looks now. And they just scream this ungrateful talk. He wishes to fix everything, she continues. You're looking at a guy who can any forward, and he moves forwards. So really, look at him. And many actually begins to do. And even the giant fox girl or whatever that was actually saved by Deku, recognizes him and says that special powers are one thing, but there's no such thing as a special person, which is true. Deku is special, but he's not special because he's one for all. He's special because he is Izuki Midoriya. And then Bakugo has to chime in to Deku saying, "We got this crazy defense center to protect these people, but they're still so scared. We're here to step in when you can't handle it all alone." Basically is saying that Deku may be the triumph card and everything else, but he has to not handle everything alone. And that is Shaka what is also saying. Izuku Midoriya is not just some special weapon or anything else. He is Izuki Midoriya, and he is the one who fights despite just having nothing. So when she's saying take a good look at him, actually some citizens begin to do that, and they are shocked because they haven't looked at that. It's the same thing as ever, as she said before. Who saves a hero when they're in trouble? No one, because not a single ungrateful citizen have ever looked at a hero when they're in their lowest. They only see someone who actually succeeded or won. Yes, they looked at All Might when he won against All for One, but they only cheered because, well, he won, at least at that time. Not realizing that he was pushing himself and he has lost the power to defend them. So they didn't see All for Might. And so Nesu, who is there together with the others, saying that a single step can feel like an impossible journey. And I believe once someone takes that unlikely step and cross the path, the ultimate hero will rise up, one that can surpass even even All Might himself. The chapter ends there, unfortunately, so I don't believe Uchako's speech is over. But again, the subtle information that actually begins to affect citizens are the simple words, take a good look at Izuku. And it wouldn't surprise me if the people that they could save, like the Fox Girl or someone else, actually begins to speak up. Take a good look at Izuku Midoriya. He is here. He has pushed himself for their sake. He has sacrificed everything to save them. He is the child of a mother. And they just throw this ungrateful anxiety at him because they're not looking at him. So hopefully Uchako's speech continues, because now everything will have to bid off. It seems the heroes have some triumph cards in the security, but I am worried. I really hope the mole, if Minetsu is the mole, I really hope it's an undercover mole, but he doesn't know it himself. But give me your thoughts if you have any.